Greetings, Andy here again, and this video is the part 3 of the little series I started a month or two back, which I call my Gateway album. So essentially these are the first albums that I got for a band which has become very important to me, and I've set myself some rules on this, but the main one is that I had to have that I've got to have at least 4 albums of the band. Which means, of course, they've got to have made 4 or more albums. Also, the album I've got to have sort of got at the time, or within a year or two of release. You know, not something where I've gone back to it and discovered them years later. Not so, you know, there's the odd debut in there, but quite often there's, you know, they're well into their discography before for some reason I found them belatedly and now love them. Now, my original part, I did episode 1, I did 10 from the 70s, and then I skipped the 80s because I just didn't have those Gateway albums for 80s for reasons I talk about endlessly. I did 10 from the 90s, and my intention was to do 10 from the 21st century, because obviously, you know, the nearer you get to today, the less likely I am to have had four albums of them. But I got to, I've just got too many, so I'm splitting this in 2. I've ended up with 11 just for the first 5 years of the 21st century, and then I've got another 10 or 11 I'll do subsequently. So here I'm doing essentially bands that I came into, or the first albums of bands that I got into in the years 2000 through to 2004. With one exception, all of these I bought originally on CD, and for some of them I've subsequently got the vinyl, and I'll show the vinyl if I've got it. But you know, in some cases I've never seen the vinyl for it, or certainly not come across it. So this is a mix of CDs and vinyl LPs. So let's get cracking. And I'm starting off in 2000. This is a debut, and it is the band Doves, who hail from sort of Wilmslow area, to North Cheshire, South Manchester area. As I say, this is their debut. Fabulous. It's, well, I mean, Doves to me have never produced any Duff albums, but this one was fabulous. I ended up, funnily enough, buying this twice. I still don't know why. I've got 2 CDs of them. I've never seen it on vinyl. I'm sure it exists. But I still don't know how I managed to get 2. I must have obviously forgotten I'd bought the first one, or was pissed or something at the time. I don't know, but it is wonderful. It remains a cracking album. I mean, things like Catch the Sun, The Man Who Told Everything, The Cedar Room, Sea Song, Here It Comes, and it's just it's an all-killer album, and is absolutely fabulous. Still in year 2000, I've actually sort of got 2 from each year, but one of them I've got, 2002, I've got 3. So they're nicely spread, these are. So my other one for 2000, I've subsequently bought on LP, and it is Granddaddy and their Software Slump. So this is their second album, and in my opinion, their best. And it kicks off with a song which I still love to this day. It's just magnificent. He's simple, he's dumb, he's the pilot. But lots of other stuff on here, the Crystal Lake. It's just a great album from Jason Little, and I can't remember, his partner's died sort of a few years ago, and I can't remember what he's called. But a great album all the same. So into 2001, another debut, which I only have on CD. Again, never seen it on vinyl, and it must exist. And that is Elbow and Sleep in the Back. A fabulous album. Powder Blue on here is magnificent. And I saw them many times. I've seen Elbow loads of times. This is an Elbow T-shirt from a gig back in the mid-00s sometime. Can't remember which album, excuse me. And, you know, I love this. I remember at the time, I was doing quite a lot of driving. I was working for a company I was working in Chester at the time, this came out, but doing a lot of travel up and down to Scotland. So I was listening to this in the car, and it was amazing. So great album. And where are we? 2000. So that was 2001. Another 2001 debut, and again I bought this subsequently on LP, and it was the 20th anniversary version, and it is Muse and Origin of Symmetry. And again, I think this is, whilst I love Muse, they've got lots of stuff. Yeah, they're totally bonkers, but brilliant. But this is their absolute peak, in my opinion. Just such a listing: Newborn Bliss, Space Dementia, Music, Plug-in Baby, Citizen Erased, Microcut, Screen Ages, Dark Shines, Feeling Good. Great cover of that. Futurism and Megalomania, brilliant album. And one of the most important albums, this I actually ought to. I have mentioned this in the past, but this was such a pivotal period for me. So in 2002, which we're coming to now, I've mentioned this before, but I separated from my first wife, changed jobs, changed company, changed career direction. Moved location, though it was only back to my hometown Birmingham, and in the last couple of days of the year met my second wife Marion. So it's huge change. But in that, I also came across my introduction not only to Sigur Rós, but to post rock, and I had a few comments from the 90s version saying, well, no post rock, and that's because I came across it later. And even when I got this, I didn't really understand. I'd not heard of post rock. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't even know this was. But it is fabulous. Whilst it's called, it's their third album, and whilst it's called the Brackets album because of that, it's actually, strictly speaking, untitled, and each track on there is officially untitled. It's just represented by brackets. But and if I listen to what I think the track on here, which really epitomise what I think of post rock, is a track which is known as Ebo. Is it track 6? I can't remember. In which the bassist Jorg plays his bass with an ebow, while John C., the guitarist and singer, is playing his lead guitar with a cello bow. It's so post-rock, it's not true. It is utterly brilliant. Still in 2002, and possibly one of the most important bands of my life. It was the band the first gig I went to with Marion very early in 2003. This was when they were touring Britain with it. Originally on CD, but I subsequently bought the 20th anniversary box set. And of course it is the Flaming Lips and Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. I've talked about this endlessly, so I'm not going to go on about it now, but needless to say, it's absolutely superb album, one of my favourites to this day. And one of those albums which to me is prog, from a band which is not thought of as prog. There you go. Oh, sorry. Not that. And where are we? The next one. Oh, so still in 2002, because as I say, I got 3 in this year. And it is Goldfrapp, the first album I got into of Alison Goldfrapp as the band. I've forgotten her partner's name. And this one is where Alison Goldfrapp turns from sort of demure, slightly folky, beautiful voice to disco diva, with the song Strict Machine on there, as well as Black Cherry, and brilliant album. And I went back and bought Felt Mountain, the first one, and I've got a number, not all, but a lot of the subsequent albums. So there we go. That's Goldfrapp. So we moved to 2003, another important one, and I have mentioned this before, because this next album is the first album I bought since since the early 80s, really, as a vinyl LP in preference as the first time. Just because it was such an analog sound, it was really hard back, and I just thought it was one which needed to be on vinyl, and that is the White Stripes and Elephant, which was their, was it the third or fourth album in 2003. Obviously, I've gone back and got the earlier ones and subsequently the later ones, and I've also followed Jack White's career over the years and got lots of his solo stuff. This is fabulous. I mean, you know, everyone knows the track listing. It's known as his English LP because there he is sat there with a cricket bat, and it was recorded in London and done in London, and you know, one of Jack's places, basically. I think he spends most of his time. It's obviously Detroit's his hometown. I think he lives in Nashville, and you know, the other place he goes to a lot is London. That's where his 3 shops are as well. I suspect that's why his 3 shops are there. So, brilliant album. Now, you know, whilst this was the first vinyl LP I sort of jumped into, I didn't suddenly start just buying vinyl, so I was still buying CD predominantly, with the odd vinyl LP where I thought it really needed to be. Obviously, over the years, I've gradually moved away from CDs and digital, which we'll come to next time, into more vinyl. But then this was a watershed moment in my vinyl journey. So where are we? Now another CD, and in the sort of proggy world, though, you know, it's sort of almost subsequently proggy. And I in my last video that I'd just done of May new releases, I talked about a new release of this band, and this was the first one I got, and it is the Mars Volta. It was their debut LP in 2003. And it is called Deloused in the Comatorium. Fabulous album. It was actually, as I'm looking at this now, I didn't really know this at the time. It was produced by Rick Rubin with Omar Rodrigo Lopez. It's just brilliant. And I was reminded, I mean, it's bonkers and brilliant. It's the Mars Volta and the two, Cedric, I can't remember his name, Bixler, whatever, and Omar Rodrigo Lopez were originally in at the Drive-In, and this was their side project, but has sort of really become the main one. And I was reminded that I saw them. We went to a festival. Marion and I went to a festival in July 2003 at Lancashire Cricket Ground, Old Trafford Cricket Ground in Manchester. And it was fabulous. It was a sort of like one of those sort of mini festivals. It was actually 3 days, but we went I had stuff to do on the Saturday. We went to the Friday and the Sunday, and I remember that the set listing is brilliant. So I've looked it up just to remind myself, and it is amazing. So the Friday, there were a few. So I think these are the ones we saw. I think there were a couple of sort of like minor bands beforehand, but the Friday, and it was really cold, I remember, was Teenage Fan Club. I think this was the order they played as well. Teenage Fan Club, the Mars Volta, Super Furry Animals, Flaming Lips, and Manic Street Preachers. What a lineup. It was fabulous. And then Sunday was as cold as the Friday was. I remember the Sunday was warm and sunny, and it was beautiful. It's Athlete, who I was really into at the time. I must dig out, I've got a couple of CDs of there, I must dig them out. Idlewild, brilliant. John Squire from Stone Roses fame, Badly Drawn Boy, and finished by REM. Absolutely superb. It's one of the best sort of concerts, as you can see. I mean, but it was good being in a cricket ground because, you know, you didn't have to stand in. You could go and stand at the front of the stage, or we just sat up in the stands, and it was fabulous. We're coming to the last two now. So we're into 2004, and this is a bizarre one because this is the 13th record by this band and artist, and it took me a very long time to get into. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and this is a double album, but they split it between two and gave each a different name. So it's the Abattoir Blues and the Lyre of Orpheus. When I say it took me a long time, I don't mean it took me a long time to get into this record. I loved it straight away, but it took me years to get into Nick Cave, and this is the introduction. And this is a beautifully packaged CD. It's not, really, it's one of those sort of CDs that wants to be an LP. It's got a full lyric booklet in there. Two beautiful packs. I think they call them digipacks now, don't they? So great tracks on there. So, I mean, including one of my favourite Nick Cave of all time, There She Goes, My Beautiful World, is on Abattoir Blues. And essentially, sort of the Lyre of Orpheus is the gentler one, and Abattoir Blues is the slightly sort of heavier, wrong word, but fabulous album. Another one I've never seen on LP, but I've not really gone looking for it, to be fair. And last but very much not least is Low and the Great Destroyer. This is a fabulous album. It's the first one I sort of discovered them. I mean, they were out in the 90s, but great track. Monkey, California, Everybody's Song, Silver Rider. It's quite interesting that around this time, a little bit afterwards, only a couple of years or so afterwards, Robert Plant on one of his solo LPs actually did covers of both Monkey and Silver Rider from this album, so you can tell how good it is. And it's I mean, Low said they hail from Duluth in Minnesota on the northern shore of Lake Superior. Geography coming out. Very sad. I mean, it was essentially a husband and wife partnership between Alan Sparhawk and Mimi Parker, and sadly Mimi died 2 or 3 years ago. Alan's sort of gradually been getting it together. He's just produced an album which has come out, I think, last week, with another band whose name I've forgotten. But I've ordered that, so I'm looking forward to that, and we'll cover it in my June roundup. So there we go. That's my part 3. So I've still got I've still got another 21st Century part 2, where I've got 10 bands, 11 albums, because one of the bands I actually I got 2 albums on the same day to discover them, so I'll mention that, and that goes through from sort of 2005 to about 2013, and I think that's the last time I can say I got a Gateway album, and subsequently I've got sort of 4 going on. So I'll do that in the next before the end of June. So come back soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.